Welcome to New Realities. I'm Alan Steinfeld, and I'm here with Steve Speer. And Steve is the creator of this amazing new tarot deck. This is the Corona Tarot deck. And he's doing a little raga with his hurdy-gurdy. Is that to put the mood, Steve?
Oh, maybe it'll work.
Maybe it'll work. We are live at the Art Farm in upstate New York. Here's your deck. So, what was that? Can you?
Hurdy-gurdy?
What does a hurdy-gurdy mean?
Hurdy-gurdy is it's a round wheel that's like a violin, so it's like a constant violin. I use a drone machine, and it's can sometimes put you in a nice state.
So that was the idea, is to put us in a nice state.
Yeah, like raga. Sometimes it's good. An old European instrument made in which is coming into vogue now, but this is a homemade one.
And tell people how you decorated with that stain.
Well, I cut my finger yesterday. And I was writing the thing. I got blood on it.
Okay.
Then I was staining the blood, and then a dog came and licked the blood off. So,
all right.
More than we need to know.
That instrument.
I make instruments.
Okay, that's great. So let's get to the main topic. Welcome to a special Labor Day New Realities from the Art Farm. Like I said, where are we exactly?
Artfarmrecording.com in Accord, New York. It's a great place
New
to.
York. That's right.
It's a rental. It's a music studio. It's a great.
So Steve is a graphic designer, and you know this whole lockdown thing we've been going through in the crisis. He put together a very creative way of expressing. It's somewhat.
Yeah. So I'll tell a little bit about how it came about.
Yeah, definitely.
So I was in New York on the beginning of March. It was a couple of days after Patty's Day, and I needed to get stuff together in New York. Was wondering what was going to happen. And I had an old elderly friend down in Florida. I had to get down and help him out. So I made a bunch of reservations, got on a flight, and as I was on the flight, I looked down on New York. It was early was flight. My sister airport, her daughter was leaving for another part of the country, and I said, I looked out the window. I said, God, I wonder if I'll ever see New York again. And as I was flying over like Midtown, I thought about the two lions.
What two lines in at the public library?
Patience and fortitude.
I
know to get through this is going to take patience and fortitude.
Yes.
And immediately I had this flash. I sometimes have what some people consider a spirit guide called Ocelon.
Well, you're a creative guy too, though.
Yeah.
But you had a flash of
that. All of a sudden, I was kind of given a message that I should make a tarot, and patience and fortitude were the sphinxes of the chariot card.
Nice.
And I'll find a chariot.
And you are such a really highly trained graphic artist that he put together a beautiful tarot deck that actually works as a tarot.
It's a really functional tarot,
and it's a great reminder. Not that we need what the heck is
well
about.
if you look, it's the pandemic in a box.
Yeah, it's a little backwards.
It's the Corona Tarot.
And you can order this.
The coronatarot.com. I think we have a good price, hopefully.
Where did you get that?
coronatarot.com. You can go order a deck.
Oh, you just go to you just order
and Corona Tarot, one word, .com. And this is my motto.
What is that?
Which the most absurd of horrors.
The most absurd of horrors.
Which is something I believe what we're in.
It isn't absurd. It could be worse, I guess, but it is pretty strange. So yeah, so you have the four basic suits major are the basic suit. What's like
as I'm on the plane, I get this message saying to make tarot as a tool for people to get through this event, and it came pretty quickly. The first chariot card, and the first card I worked on,
The lungs there.
the lungs, which carries the virus, the chariot,
Oh, the lungs.
and there's patient on the right side, the lions from the original, and everybody knows those are the sphinxes on the traditional tarot card. So I was trying not to do. This is not a traditional tarot. This is outside of art tarot. Really, it's not.
But it's traditional in the sense that people can use this.
Oh, it's a totally
as
functional deck.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about it, and I got to Florida, got some food, everything was locking down, and I said, again, I had this sort of message saying, hey, you need to do this tarot. And I thought about it, and everybody at the time was scrambling toilet paper. And I said to myself, well, what is more earthy than toilet paper?
So
what
toilet paper rolls are the
discs?
Yes, which is
Paper discs. It's funny. I'm looking through my deck for a toilet paper card and or an earth card, and let me find one.
And these are 72 cards,
well,
like most traditional.
That's nice.
That's funny.
That's the toilet paper. You haven't seen these, have you?
I haven't seen them all. No.
So, and the 9 of discs is kind of like a labor card leading towards completion.
Well,
It's labor. So the 9 of discs leaning towards completion.
right.
So he's on the toilet after these other. Here's the 6 of discs, which is material violence.
Mm-hmm.
And this hippie-ish man is handing out toilet paper. And if we all remember how it was toilet paper during the lockdown.
Right.
7 of discs.
Do you want to go through?
This is actually a really great card. This one.
This one.
The 8 of discs.
Woman hoarding toilet paper.
That's a woman hoarding toilet paper, and she's kind of locked up in her own ideology, and she wants to do the right thing, and she can't. So I actually I've used these for 10 of discs, which is full completion. So I went down and I started thinking about like what to do with how the tarot could correspond, and I had a really good friend, Adolf, who's skilled.
We're getting some feedback that our connection's not great here for some reason, but that's okay.
Yeah, just go. And she's a skilled sort of tarot person who helped me out, and she was very kindly said, "Sure, it sounds like a good idea." And then I called my friend Lena Strayhorn, who's well-versed in too, and thought it was a great idea. And then we all started talking about how these suits might work. And the toilet paper was really obvious. And the swords.
Swords are what?
Swords are rare.
And air in the Corona Tarot
is masks.
Oh.
Obviously, they're masks. This card is the least detailed, and I tried to make the styles different. Here's the 4 of Swords, which is kind of to do with fiction.
These are really funny. I mean, they're funny, but also
that's the 8 of
serious.
Swords, which, if you look at this one, this was people collecting masks, but these are the flags of the countries affected by.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And so 10 of Swords, again, completion, and I had a solar temple kind of vibe to this, which I thought was interesting. This is 2 of Swords. So swords are masks.
Yeah.
Cups.
Cups would be.
What was the big thing with people?
Disinfectant spray.
Soap.
So
it was, remember, wash your hands. So swords were soap. Cups were soap.
Cups. So it's like these are cards and
these
are really great illustrations. Yeah, you're good.
I was a professional illustrator for
these are really
a bunch of things, and people really. This one has to do with like. She's like openizing it.
That's funny.
And these map. Pretty well to a traditional tarot.
So the 8 of Cups would. What?
It kind of means, again, sort of a restriction and an inability to deal with cleansing, because it's before 9, 10, which is completion. So it's up there. It has a little darker vibe to it. So the 8 of Cups is not necessarily a great card. I read tarot just to say I read as a narrative and not as a traditional tarot. This deck is based on the Coley deck, the Thoth deck.
Right.
More
And you're wearing a Thoth sort of
Tahuti Lodge t-shirt.
I know you're here.
I'm involved.
Okay, okay. We won't go in there.
But just I try. Oh, and this is great. This one is I love this card.
It's beautiful. So it's the Enneagram, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the Enneagram for 9.
Oh.
And also the 9 of Cups implies illusion for completion. So I made this kind of a new agey card because as a warning that we don't fall into cosmological traps and move on from them to completion, to the 10 of Cups, which is completion. So I made this. This is the prettiest card in the deck, but it's the illusion.
You pull 9 of Cups, it means you're still functioning under the whole idea of illusion.
Which now I'm going to talk about the meta eon because I think it's really important.
The meta eon.
The box says a guide for the meta ion.
Uh-huh.
Really important for me in this was I think I was one of the first people to say this. I told Alan this a long time ago. They were in some sort of alternate time bubble.
I believe that.
Yeah. Now a lot of people are talking about alternate timelines. I believe we kind of we're in almost like I tried to describe, but it's in the holding space. It's outside of mundane time. So there's Chronos and Kairos. I talked to Alan about
linear time,
linear profane time,
and Kairos is a sort of magical time,
sacred time,
and we are in this in between.
We've been actually kind of into holding space that's neither Kairos or Chronos, and I believe possibly a new is
it's a sacred time though. I would say it's more Kairos than Chronos.
Yes, well that's the thing. I agreed. It feels like a sacred time, but it's not. It's a sacred time, yes, but it's not traditional Kairos.
What would traditional Kairos be?
A really full-blown illumination, stepping outside of time.
Well, I think we're leading there, don't you? This us where we can have the ability as a mass public awareness to step into a new timeline.
Well, I mean, yes, no, yeah, but I think I think that sort of everybody agrees time has sort of stopped.
Right.
There's this idea that people have really felt the idea that, wow, time has really stopped. People say, oh, I wake up in the morning, it's the same. Somebody said Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Jorge Luis Borges had New Reputation of Time. Do you know that one?
No, but what was it called?
A New Reputation of Time.
One of his short stories.
Yeah, it's really good.
A New Reputation of Time.
Refutation.
A refutation of
time. So
it's interesting. Tarot also works like the I Ching with the moment-to-moment awareness, because if you're picking a card, it gives you a reflection, synchronicity,
a narrative
of the as it is.
Right. So, like, I don't read cards to tell the future, and I don't read cards to. It's more of just create a narrative of what's happening at the moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if we want things from it, we're not going to maybe. We're going to be thwarted.
Well, that's why I love this deck, because this is what's happening at the moment. 7 of Cups, this woman eating the soap.
Well, that's like her trying too hard to get clean. And if we know there was this idea of that being soap. So these literally while they were happening, you know what I mean?
It's still happening. But what is in a normal tarot? What would these 7 of Cups actually refer to?
It has to do with. In a way, the tarot in the suits is a
from the magician.
Right. So it's a full narrative. Right. So the Fool to the Magician. Now it needs so as you progress through even the different suits, it's narrative 1 to 10. And so 7 is kind of along the journey where you're kind of not sure which one, cutting this fluidity, so you're kind of arrested fluidity possibly.
So you're giving us a narrative of the pandemic. Actually,
this is a narrative of the pandemic
through these brilliant.
And this was if I look just because the Trumps were more in
the major arcana
were more in we'll talk this a little bit.
Oh, the star's interesting.
That's the star. That's the emperor.
Oh,
The emperor guide. We'll see the star.
Oh yeah, the star actually has that, and this woman is what, washing her hair?
Yeah, and she's kind of trying to cleanse. She's actually doing the alchemical work.
Oh yeah, you're a big alchemist.
I'm familiar with alchemy.
Okay.
She's doing some alchemical work, and she's washing the stone. Familiar with the stone, the meteoric,
the lapis,
philosopher's stone, the lapis exilis.
Oh, the exalted stone
in exile.
Oh, is that what it means?
Yes.
Oh.
Listen to the Hollow Earth, that stuff we talked about.
Okay, we'll do another show on the Hollow Earth.
The lapis exilis was the meteoric stone that Lucifer did as an old, but there's this idea.
That's in alchemy, or is that like
this is traditional?
Traditional.
This is pretty traditional.
Okay.
Traditional, and so this was the man fulfilled on earth sort of thing.
Is he sitting on a toilet?
No, he's sitting on a black stone. He's sitting on a cubic stone.
So you put all the alchemical stuff in the Arcana.
There's things in here.
And
if you look.
And the black stone is what?
Well, it's the stone of Mecca. It's the meteoric stone. It's the philosopher's stone.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. And in terms of the virus, corona, wow, how does it reference that?
Well, I would say that as we're in this sort of false time or this outside of time thing. And if you notice in some of them, so he's actually connecting with the cosmos, with the stars, and this falls into a little bit of the tyranny of fate, which I have theories about, the tyranny of the stars and fate, which is time. So a lot of things involved in this deck.
So if you pick the Emperor in your deck, that would mean that you
sort of fulfillment in the material world and sort of a little more material, but also able to connect order, structure. I do have my guidebook. I've been working on a people have asked for a guidebook, which I was not.
Right.
So
because your guidebook and again, people can order these cards, 72 tarot cards in reference to this pandemic that we're still in, and it's the Corona Tarot.
CoronaTarot.com.
Corona
but
Tarot.
If because Alan asked me about the Emperor card, I will go and read. So for the Emperor card in my deck, I have the Crown and the Anchor, the Crown and the Anchor, Autocrata, which means self-creator. So the structure of the universe flourishes, which is my favorite quote from Giordano Bruno. Shaking hands, which is no longer a traditional thing to do, and the Emperor was sort of the tradition in a way, and no longer shaking hands, touching the face, the lapis exilis, and Amphortis, which is the Parzival myth, which has to do with the Grail too, and then which is something, and River of Time. I also am trying to in the booklet interweave the ideas of time, the ideas of alchemy. There's some Parzival in there. The Hierophant, we'll do just
the Hierophant, but I also want to do the Empress because that looks good. But let's do the Hierophant
let's find the Empress.
Because these are also keys to traditional tarot. I think you're giving people an extra insight into the.
Well, like with the book, when they do a book, I was more happy just to leave the cards be themselves.
Yeah.
But I said to myself, if people want a book, I'll make a book.
No, I'm happy you made the book because I think these, in a way,
it deepens it a little bit and it gives people some. But I said,
and it adds to someone using a traditional tarot these kind of alchemical.
And when people ask me to make the book, I said I am not making a traditional book because there's been done so many times. Here's the Empress, and
read that because here, I'll hold that up.
And the Empress is Knufus Delta, which Delta being the John Dee symbol, and also the symbol of a river entering into an ocean, which has Joycean things, because Joyce was the river eventually goes into the ocean.
Right, which also begins Finnegan's Wake, River Run.
So that's Delta. She's holding back the ships that are coming into the harbor.
The Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, and she's, because this is the time was closing borders. This card was Empress being ruler and having this ability to rule. So she was ruling the borders closed.
The last to abandon, what does that mean in terms of your book about the tarot?
Well, the last to abandon, I'm trying to think actually where I got that quote, but she's the Empress. She's like the mother. So she's the Delta. She's not going to abandon us, even though we're in this different time. So the Empress card is she's sad about not allowing people in, but needs to by necessity. And that brings us to Mother of Exiles, Open Borders, the Harlot's Law, Gems.
Initiates acausal occurrences. What
Initiates
does that mean?
acausal occurrences is the IAO formula.
What is that?
IAO is a kind of very magical formula. It's very special. If people know it, it's the call to Pan.
Okay, what is acausal occurrences?
A causal occurrences is something that doesn't have a cause.
Like
It's
everything.
acausal, like everything in a way. But some people believe that we live in a causal universe. I say so. Initiating a causal occurrences, which the initials are IAO, which is also ignore alien orders, which pops up in the cards.
Ignore alien orders.
And that was I think Burroughs made that quote up.
Could be. Some people say this is kind of an alien invasion of sorts.
So every harlot was a virgin once.
Now explain that. What that means. Every harlot. I mean,
the Empress, has the 7 rays, so she's associated with sort of variety of female archetypes.
But also the 7 serpents of Vishnu sleeping.
It's all 7 rays, 7.
Right.
And there's also a bit of Gurdjieffian in here.
Oh, and how is that?
Well, like if I find the sun is a specifically Gurdjieffian card.
Jody Sirota says very creative, filled with so much wisdom. Cool.
Oh, thanks, Jody. I don't know. We just kind of set this up in 30 minutes, so I'm like, we've been thinking of. Okay. So the Emperor. This is a really great card. This is the Tower. And if you remember when they started, I did this card the day that I was doing 2 cards a day. It took me. I did these during the lockdown, and I did 2 cards a day. And this card was when they started using the Empire State Building as a siren. Remember they were flashing the red light?
Oh, I did.
Yeah. So this is like actually like in a way, it's like a diary of the pandemic too.
It is.
Because that card is kind of like disappeared in the idea of what it was. But that I did this card the day they were blasting the red siren, and I said, oh my God. And I was working through the deck, and that was the same day the Tower. I needed a Tower card. I said, which is the Tower card? And all of a sudden, the Empire State Building is blasting red. Wow. And if you look, there's de Blasio over here as a vampire.
He is a bit
and
of a
also,
vampire.
this is a 5G antennas.
Where? Oops.
5G antenna.
5G antennas at the bottom. I see.
And there's also a little thing that says 5G.
I think these are a great gift to remember the pandemic. Let's hopefully we'll
functional deck.
We'll get to the point where we'll have to I mean, we're not there yet, but at some point we're going to remember this.
Lovers, the lover card for the chance of union, which is from the Book of the Law. Seals. The Mysterious conjunction, the mysterious marriage between lovers. And I thought, everybody knows in kind of even the Nagual kind of thing where death is always over your shoulder in the Castaneda thing.
Yeah.
So ultimately the lover is the
lover is the face you had before you were born. That's also the Zen thing.
Behind the mask.
Behind the mask.
I'm also
the mask of the face. So it's like behind this mask.
Like time,
well,
time.
The Greek word for mask was persona.
Right.
So the persona, what's behind the mask of the persona?
The mask, the face before I was born, which is
the Zen.
A masquerade.
Yeah.
The lovers was I haven't touched you yet, which I think is a Joyce quote.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Ixaxar, which is the 60 stone, because the lovers is number 6, and the 60 stone is out the mackening, le petit mort, the little death,
which was an orgasm, really.
Right. And we're living through the little death with this constant with the virus.
So it's like a little orgasm.
If a thing loves, it is infinite, and 2 rivers, which I believe that. So in the
what is that in the 2 rivers?
Well, in the Gurdjieff thing, he talks about 2 rivers and jumping rivers. So not being so tied to one ideology or one stream.
Well, we are now in a kind of bifurcation of 2 rivers, right?
It's very, and I think it comes up in here in Chariot, which we did a little bit, but I'll just read it. Patience and fortitude, stability and time, wheels within wheels. He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior. A progressive approximation, an ambulance, the breath, the invisible enemy. The carapace withers away, but what's important is jumping rivers. The Chariot is jumping rivers, time streams, cosmologies,
and here are the 2 lines.
Belief systems of patience and fortitude. Right. So, and if you look, you see there's a lot of binaries in the Chariot card, which lends itself to 2 rivers. This one was an early one I did, which was Judgment,
Mhm.
and it's the Chinese fish markets,
Oh, really?
which we all knew that like
That's
for
where
a
the whole
while,
thing began.
with the supposedly. So he's weighing out fish and bats. If you look at the fish, and they're kind of mutant fish because the wet markets are kind of strange. So he's actually weighing them out. He's using the knife, and that has some significance for anybody who
But
cares to look
it's
it up.
interesting what you're saying, because it was in the fish markets that the bifurcation,
Right,
the timelines
exactly. It
began,
started.
right?
Sure.
So you call this the judgment.
Judgment card, and it's execution, bifurcation, contagion. Do not wait for the last judgment. It takes place every day. I think that's Sartre.
Yeah.
It takes one to know one.
Right.
We are the measure of nothing, and nothing measures us.
Nice.
The horologue.
What's that mean? The horologue.
Time judges us all.
Oh.
A feather, which is how the Egyptian souls were judged.
Oh, right. This is sort of like
Right.
the what do they call that? Was the what scale of?
Yeah, the scale. Well, we don't need to get the people can look it up. My thing with this deck too is like I'm not laying it out for people. I'm giving them pointers
and little symbolic
and they
doorways,
can go, and hopefully it opens some doorways for them.
No, that's smart.
And so the watery aspect of this card is damned.
Why is that?
Well, because it's in terms of a dam. So we had the two rivers,
and we're also damned because of it,
and then
right?
we're damned. So and then we have
Joycean of you.
There's a lot of Joyce in here.
Yeah,
there's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
What's the fake news one? That looked kind of fun.
So those were. I'll just go through a couple of these while I'm in this one, then we'll get to the fake news because
those minor.
I'll just
let's keep going with the major.
Do you want me to go through?
Yeah, let's go through them. No, I like these are very creative.
The Hermit was. Let's see if we have the. Here's the Hermit.
Sue Bond says, "Thanks for explaining the meaning of the images. I love the deck."
Oh, great. So thanks, Sue. So the Hermit, of course, is a lockdown. It's a poor old guy. So I'm going to go back. So swords were masks,
right?
And because it had a lot to do with old people, and when I went down to Florida, I was helping my friend at an older age kind of condo place. And as I drove up, I said, "Oh, geez, if shit goes down the way they're saying it's going to go down, a lot of old people are going to get hurt."
Oh, so what's that one?
So I started using the Four of Wands are canes, old people's canes.
Are wands canes?
Yeah, wands are canes.
Oh.
And I thought, wands are fire, but I said to myself, you know what? A lot of these old people have some fire in them still. So, I was very interested in letting us know that these old people were in the equation, because this is the people who got most affected.
That's right. You're right.
So it was really.
What's the King of Wands?
The King of Wands. I'm going to the suit cards. I'll go to those later.
Okay.
But the Eight of Wands. That's actually a really interesting.
You want to read the Eight of Wands there?
The Eight of Wands. While I'm looking this.
So I just want to promote this again. The coronatarot.com.
Right.
The TH.
No. Coronatarot.com.
CORONA
tarot, one word, coronatarot.com.
And
Steve Speer, maybe you find it. I don't know. You
can order those online, and there's a limited amount, I think.
Yeah. So the Eight of Wands is again the black cube.
Oh yeah.
And throughout the cards, there's black cubes and black spheres. And for the Eight of Wands, I've been working on this, the Dweller on the Threshold, which brings in Bulla Lytton, who coined the term. The Dweller on the Threshold is moving into a new, hopefully, if we're moving out of this.
We are the dweller on the threshold.
We're the dweller on the threshold.
We are that.
And there's a little song that goes, I'm a dweller on the threshold, and I'm waiting at the door. And I can't do it no more. It's Van Morrison. You'll find it on YouTube. Listen to Dweller on the Threshold. So Dweller on the Threshold was coined by Bulla Lytton, who's my favorite writer.
Bulla Lytton, just describe who Bulla Lytton, because that's
Bulla Lytton's 1850s, 1830s. He was very good friends with he worked with Eliphas Levi.
No one knows who that is.
So yes, people know. He was the guy who invented. Do you know who he is?
He was an alchemist, wasn't he?
Ceremonial magician. He wrote the books on ceremonial magic in the which was a precursor to the Golden Dawn.
But Bulla Lytton was highly influential within the literary circle.
Bulla Lytton told Charles Dickens how to end Great Expectations. He was a larger selling writer than.
And now no one
Dickens,
knows him.
And no one knows him. I've been to his grave.
But he was a mystic. He was a
Kabbalist. They tell you that he wasn't a mystic because he's been expunged. Bulla Lytton is also the person who coined Dark and Stormy Night.
Oh, yes. He was the first to write those lines.
Which became like a mockery because they have a contest of the Dark and Stormy Night being the longest and most senseless phrase.
But he wasn't. If you read that stuff, it's very mystical.
He's a Victorian writer, so it's very florid. They weren't worried about time. They were worried about the experience.
I think he influenced Poe, Edgar Allan Poe.
Bulwer Lytton was Bulwer Lytton. Me and Alan might do a Bulwer Lytton show.
Oh yeah, let's do that. Because nobody knows him. He's so important.
Wagner wrote one of his first operas called Rienzi,
right,
based on a Bulwer Lytton book.
How do you spell Bulwer Lytton? So
Bulwer Lytton, Lytton.
That's his first and last name.
Lord Bulwer Lytton.
Lord Bulwer.
You can find it.
And that's early
1800s, mid 1800s, early to mid 1800s.
Right,
Look him up. He also Wagner wrote Rienzi after him. But one of the more important things, he coined the term vril, which was the Vril Society, and got into it was known as the first Hollow Earth novel.
Right.
And if we're talking about these objects, these meteoric black cubes, black suns,
right?
So imagine this card. So for this one, it's the dweller on the spectrum, dweller on the threshold, specter of the spectrum, the extrasensory frequencies that we don't perceive.
You know, I'm thinking as you're talking,
which has John Keel, the Seventh Tower.
But if we use this deck at this time, sort of becomes like a passageway through this time. I mean, it kind of lays out your personal steps as we make it through.
It's a functional tarot.
Well, particularly for this time.
For this time,
but you've given so much interesting symbology.
Guide to the meta.
No, I think it's
coined the term meta.
No, I think you're sort of channeling these higher images in order to bring people and also for them to gain knowledge of why they're in this time.
This is the back of the card too, and that's where you see soap, swords,
these are the four suits.
and those are the
toilet
paper. So those are the four suits.
No, but I do think it's important as a let's call it a meta pathway through this time of transformation.
I would like to think that I didn't waste my time doing it.
No, I don't think you did. I think I think the higher part of you laid out the symbology for people to kind of go in and examine themselves and then emerge
which is
from
what
this,
the tarot is.
The Caros.
Which is the tarot, which is what
the
tarot
sacred
is.
time. When we emerge from the sacred time, we're changed, we're initiated.
Right.
And we're in a level of initiation now. We are,
and we should take advantage of it.
Yes. And how do you suggest we do that?
Well, I don't like telling anybody how to do anything. But do examine. I mean,
examine yourself.
Know thyself.
Yeah.
And I mean, the cards are fun, and they're really
they're serious too.
They're fun, but they're very serious.
I'm just getting that now because you kind of made them up as sort of fun, but now I'm getting how serious they are.
So this is just to do with the lockdown.
The hermit.
And and he's an old guy who's locked away, and that's introspection, as we talk about it. Introspection. And
the light fixture above is a 6-pointed star.
Well, that's on a traditional deck, yes, and that's the concealed place, as I say in the. I'll read the concealed place. This is the Hermit, number 9. A concealed place, resistance to the self, hindsight being 20/20, hindsight. And inmost light, which has to do with Arthur Mack and the exuding your own inmost light, which is Soul's Camp, which is Hello Now, which is a John Prine song about old people locked away.
Right.
Stupefaction, why do anything? Akinetic mutism, out of time, ice crystal, and quarantine.
You know, when you wrote Resistance of the Cell, I was thinking about my cell phone. And don't pick that up.
Interesting.
Resistance
of the Cell is a Mark Stewart song, who's a really great songwriter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
A lot of these are puns and things, but I think I've been working really hard on this. Fortune is let's see if we can. Well, actually, this card is pretty amazing. This one's a good one too.
Is this the devil?
It's the devil. And do you remember it was bat soup that started the virus?
Was it bat?
Yeah. I mean, again, these cards and on a way. And that was so bat soup started the virus, and I said to myself, my God, and actually my friend Lena Strayhorn, I think, believed me that idea. But then I was taken, and I would talk to people.
But what does this mean, though?
This one is well, the devil is what brings change into the world in a way.
Oh, really?
Well, it's this possibly not change.
No, but
he's the outside. Let's see what this said. Just because.
The world
is hell and man is the devil, which is process scripture. Bat's head soup, which is just a joke. The Great Deceiver, but counterintelligence is probably outer dark. This outer influence coming into the time stream. A hoax, because the devil is the great deceiver. He's the hoax. And of course, it fits in with the corona thing.
Right.
Is it a hoax?
Yeah.
You know, and even the damned in hell have the community of this, which is just a nice way to say that we're never alone. And sulfur, which is just traditionally hellish. But I'm also,
but sulfur is also the alchemical,
change,
and it's also what makes change. So even though it might be negative, it's also bringing change into the world.
So I don't believe in any one cosmology.
Right.
I'm not a joiner.
Right. Yeah.
I might wear my Tahuti Lodge shirt because I'm like the Tahuti Lodge, and I might be a Gurdjieff. And actually, I'll do this. Oh, lust was interesting.
Lust, I like that.
So lust, I said to myself, what is lust? And lust, you know, has to do with, well, I mean, in thelemic things, it turns into like this Babylon, and
but what does it mean?
But to me, it was the sacred sort of interacting with the material
world,
and as the woman being this kind of channel between it, a sensual pleasure. You know, so we interact with the world through sensual pleasure in a way. Everything we do, the senses. So she's being overwhelmed by her senses. And somebody said to me, I don't like the way she looks. She looks like drugged out. And I'm like, yeah. So these are all media screens, and she's being inundated by media, as we all were.
We still are.
We still are.
Like people watching this, for instance.
So for the lust card, number 11, which 11 has significance, I'm sure some people know, thermodynamics, electromagnetism, cybernetics, glamour, screens, networks, mediated experience, infowar, givens. I don't want to lose myself, 2 ones, gaslighting, silicon, vril, a serpent with rabbit ears.
Wow. Talk about the vril again, because the vril were adopted by the Nazis.
Well, the vril was in I think in New Zealand they have this vril something, Volvo vril. It's a product.
They had the vril sisters as a flying saucer.
Right, that was Maria Orsic.
Right, and didn't they Nazis sort of co-opt?
You know, the Nazi thing, we can go there, but
no,
it's fine. But what's more interesting? Than Nazi? So Bulwer, in one of his later books, was known as the first Hollow Earth book. It's called The Coming Race, Vril or The Coming Race. It's a shorter one of Bulwer's books, so it's actually easy to read. It was about a Hollow Earth race of women, super women, who would use Vril. So it's known
they would use, what does that mean?
Vril was etheric energy, Odinic energy.
Oh, is that what Vril is?
Vril is kind of ectoplasmic in a way.
I didn't know that.
So Vril is this psychic energy.
But it also was about the first UFOs. In the 30s, weren't they doing kind of real UFO stuff?
Maria Orsic was a channel in Germany.
Right.
She was part of the Vril Thulenschaft.
Right.
And they were a society, but a lot of people have co-opted the term Vril and use it as, wouldn't have been a co-opt this wrong, but use the term Vril. But we have to remember that Bulwer was the guy who invented it, and that's really.
But didn't Maria Orsic, you said?
Maria Orsic, yeah.
Take off before the Nazis could actually co-opt everything? Didn't she actually disappear with some UFO type vehicles?
Well, yeah, she was channeling UFO
and she
technology.
left. She disappeared.
Yeah,
with the other real women.
And again, I would say I'm not here, and I don't think Alan is either to tell anybody what to think, but these are all pointers to go look things.
Yeah, this guy.
Do what thou wilt, and find your own way, and know thyself. So,
Robbie Moss, whoever that is, said the magic cup brought me here. Good to see you, Steve.
Oh, cool. Oh, the magic cup. Oh, I know about the magic cup. That's,
you know this guy too?
Yeah, I think that's David Grohlman, who's a performance artist. Hey, Dave.
Thanks for tuning in. You just blew his cover.
It's cool. Dave's cool. Thank you, Dave.
Okay.
Now this is the death card, which of course we remember this kind of hellish need to do the body count.
Oh.
You know, I could find the death mask. Mikilentenko, who's the Mayan god of necropolitic, death. Recombination, death. Don't be afraid to work with the dead, death. Search for death, death. Here, Tyrant Death by Terra's End, death. Count.
This is like sort of a mantra you're saying there.
Well,
right?
because death is so insanely, prevalent, we have to deal with it, and.
But in traditional tarot, it meant more transformation.
It's
than
all about
death.
transformation, sure.
Yeah,
No, I
yeah.
mean, again, we can't do traditional
I
because
know,
there
we're
are
not
no
doing-
traditions. You know what I mean? The traditions are very. I used to.
Well, it's the end of the time of traditions now.
It's a new era. It's a new
Right,
meta.
right, right.
I associate it lately with the rhizomes, rhizomic, and that
What does
plays.
that mean?
A rhizome is a root system as opposed to a branching trait.
Uh-huh.
And Melville brings in. There's some Melville quotes in my guidebook. Melville brings in the weaving and the woof and the woof. And weaving is a predominant thing of destiny. So it's the fates weaving. So I recommend not to pick. I also in brainwaves.
No.
If you know brainwaves, people think alpha, beta, theta, but they're not like alpha is here and theta is there. They're all interwoven in this
Right.
manifold thing. So for us to say that, oh, we're picking out this because this is what we prefer to see at the moment, we're not seeing the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I try to see it a little more holistically, even in a Joycean way, where Joyce was kind of creating a hologram.
He was in his language,
Right,
especially in the
right.
Finnegan, Finnegan's Wake. Was
deliberately
more,
trying to blow people's minds to step outside of themselves.
yeah.
Dwell on the threshold.
Step outside the one dimension that
dwell
we
on the
think,
threshold and
think we
step in
live
and
in.
out. Oh, maybe open the door, maybe go through. Be careful going
Finnegan's
through.
Wake.
Be careful going through.
But
Hangman is really great. This
Okay.
was waiting for the supermarket online.
Oh, that's funny.
And somebody said to me, well, it doesn't look like a man or woman. I'm like, yeah, it's kind of like this middle of the road being who's stuck in the thing. I could read.
Yeah, read that.
So the abyss folds into this. The abyss is close to home, trapped between shore and shore. Chiasmus, which is a term that the Mormons use, it's to know if a sacred text is really sacred. It's texts that are written backwards and forwards, and people do analysis of the Bible and different sacred texts to see if they actually are sacred texts. Hell is other people, socially distanced, liminality. This is like limited dwelling, again, the threshold, relic, and elder care facility.
We got another comment here online. Brian, no, C.L. Cave, The Coming Race is a novel by Edward Bulletin, published anonymously in 1871. It's also published as Rill.
Yeah, The Coming Race. Yeah.
Do you know that guy? Or you just have a fan?
No. Oh, Chris Cave, maybe.
Yeah, Chris. And then
Hey,
Brian Mellinger says, great to see you here. The influence behind your takes on the classic tarot imagery, excellent survey of mana.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Brian.
Threads beyond. But let's go to art, because we are here at the Art Farm.
Okay, that's good. The Art Farm in the corner.
We want to promote this place because it's a really, I'm just going to give a little panorama of this place.
The Art Farm is a place we do seminars, music, recording.
It's a beautiful place to be on a Labor Day weekend. But anytime you could come up here, there's a recording studio. And there's a retreat center here. It's a beautiful retreat center here.
Been around for 20 years.
And Sean, this guy Sean owns.
Sean Boyd is the proprietor and facilitator, but
and it's really great.
The energy is pretty good. The energy is pretty good.
It feels really comfortable here. There's a pine forest back there that's very.
People go.
It feels very sacred.
Here
There's outdoor showers
and Celtic. Everything happens here. It's been. Here's.
But anyway, okay.
Well, it's a double. So the art card I finally found. So that's the hieroglyphic monad. That's a John Dee's hieroglyphic monad. But the art card to me, I'll read it as the art. Art is the great work. Really, it's the great work and the great game. And I think we need to always keep in mind, what are we working? Are we working the great work? Or are we working the great game? Both are valid. The great game is geopolitics. The great work is building a soul.
That is the great work. That is the alchemical great work.
That's the goal of alchemy.
The magnus opus,
is
right?
to build your own soul.
Right.
So it's the great work. The ingress of novelty, which is a Whitehead term, but Terence McKenna used it all the time. Art brings in novelty to the world. It's the creative act in the Duchampian sense.
It is the alchemical formula for transformation. Right. I mean, that is what art is. It's taking something and making it into something else.
And adding something to reality by doing the art.
Right.
Pushing the envelope a little bit more.
And then the viewer becomes the initiate into the new consciousness.
It becomes a feedback. The great word ingress of the novel. The river gives way to the ocean because you're leaving your own river and entering this kind of eternal ocean of art. Matrix creatrix, which is tap hit to the mothering aspect of creation. 0 point energy. Art is a mirage. The reasonable man achieved nothing. We have to realize that he achieved nothing really. Ultimately, don't try to do things because they're not going to happen. But then things might happen, right?
Right. No, I got a message from Chris Cave, I guess. He said, Spear, waiting for my deck to arrive.
Oh, I think I was going to, Chris has helped me out. I was going to give him a deck.
Okay.
I don't put things in the mail.
Okay.
But
he's still waiting. Fake news? Let's look at that.
Fake news. So princes. So then we get into the court cards.
Oh, yeah.
Kings, queens, princes, and
prince. Is it 4 court cards?
I do want to do
the prince, the princess, the king, and the queen.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so here's the Magus too. The Magus, just go through them really quick. You can.
What is that Magus is the #1 card in the deck if you're not counting the Fool.
The Magus is sort of like he initiating magic in your journey.
Oh.
You know, I mean, you become a magician to start having conform with your will. Having reality conform with your will. It's magic is the art of making.
So what is this Magus wearing? He's wearing some kind of.
He's wearing a biochemical suit.
Right, and he's like.
And he's making the virus.
He's making the virus.
He's making and he has his traditional instruments.
What's in his hand up? The wand. What is
That's
the wand?
a wand. That's the virus in a test tube. And he's giving some traditional symbol, some hand sign, and
what's this thing in the corner here?
That's just a petri dish, which symbolizes the magician's weapon. So that would be discs.
This is great.
Discs, wands.
And I love the infinity sign in the eyes.
Yeah, because the traditional traditional Magus card has an infinity sign over his head,
and this is where it begins. This is where that
begins the journey.
This begins the journey into the virus too,
into the corona.
Right.
This is and that's just because I do. This one was interesting because I said the sun. Remember when the sun was going to kill the virus?
Oh yeah, for a moment.
So so these are actually like they remember moments.
They are very funny. Yeah,
in this kind of horrible blur.
Yeah.
But I took this to be Gurdjieff's ray of creation.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Look into I don't want to. We don't need to get into specifics because I think.
But do you want to read what the sun is?
Yeah, we'll see what the sun says.
The sun is coming out of the corona.
Sun. Moon was.
The moon card.
The moon was interesting. Well, because just here it is. So here's the moon card.
No, moon and
I'll read the moon card because it goes into the sun card. Food for, regurgitation, muddy waters, madness, riot, cathars, symptoms, whirlpool, I am perplexed, Lavana, Eidolon, per amica silentia luna, Yeatsian quote, Regina astris, and smoke. Then it goes into the sun, smoke and mirrors.
And then the sun does away with the moon.
Smoke and mirrors. Well, and smoke and mirrors.
And the moon was also lunatic, sort
of. Well, we have madness,
right. And the sun.
And the Cathars were a cult who were into cathartic rebirth.
Oh, that's where the word cathartic comes from. The
cathartic comes from the Cathars. So the moon is bringing on this kind of cathartic.
I see.
So mirror, sun, smoke and mirrors, sun, Sorath, the cage of light, which again gets into this electromagnetic spectrum and what lies beyond it. Crowley called it the purple beyond purple. John Keel called it the seventh tower. And I think it's something that really needs to be examined is what we perceive, which will lead us into the media cards,
right?
The sword cards. Regina, false sun, undue influence, the cage of light, monotheism, blindness, a false positive. We become what we behold. Leo Africanus, who is a channel for Yeats, Goddamn the Sun and the Ray of Creation, which was a Gurdjieffian reference.
Blindness, false positive. We become what we become. But where's the Fool? Because that really begins the journey,
that's
right?
Okay. Well, actually, how much time do we have, Alan?
We have as much time as we want until we run out of power from this.
Okay, good. Because we'll kill it in a little bit and we'll do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again because I think we'll have more questions.
But I do want to go
expose the whole deck.
No, I do.
Okay.
I only have so much energy when I jabber incessantly.
Well, that's what you did with the deck, though.
This is like a lot of jabbering. I'm looking for
the Fool.
So there's one, but I'm looking for the Ion card.
Looks good.
That's the well, the Ion card is I have to find.
It's-
So here's an interesting one. When we were making the deck, we
Uh-huh.
needed a printer,
Uh-huh.
and I looked around, and somebody said to me, "Oh, this is." They said, "Oh, this is so funny. This is my
What?
this is my original print deck,
Huh.
my proof deck, and the Ion card. You'll have to get the deck to find the the new Ion card.
Okay.
The Chinese printers said." So I was using Trump as the fool, as 0.
Uh-huh.
And the Chinese printers said, for some reason, if you notice, Hillary is biting at his heels for some
Oh, that's
reason.
funny.
And that's the way in traditional
That-
tarots.
That's the dog is biting.
So
at
I
the
had
heels.
this proof deck done. This is the deck I use, and it came back, and I said, we told the Chinese printers, "Hey, great, let's do it."
Right.
They looked through the decks and they said, "We're not printing that card."
Why not?
They wouldn't tell me.
Because of trade
I
deals. or
said,
something.
"Is it copyright related? What's the
No.
problem?" And they were like, "We will not print that deck. We won't even tell you."
That's funny.
And I said, "Oh my God!" So I called Amy, who was so great in helping me do
Uh-huh.
this throughout the creation of it, and also getting these logistics done.
Right.
That I called Amy. I said, "Oh my God, Amy, they're not printing it now." And we were like, "Why?" So we decided, because we had already had a proof and we liked it, that we would use the Chinese printers for the first run.
Right.
And I had to make another card called another fool card. And I said to myself, well, that's kind of perfect, because the 0 card, and we won't get into the significance of 0,
It's
but
also the 22nd card, right?
it's the 22nd card, but it's also, so I'm going to blank for a little bit, the 23rd card.
Oh, the 23rd
23
card.
being a magical number, but I don't want to, I'm maybe
Okay.
stepping over my
No, that's okay.
conscious awareness
That's
at the
okay.
moment.
But what was the new
So
fool?
the fool here is so the 0 bookends the trump. So now we have zeros, we have open possibilities bookending the trumps.
Right. The trumps are the major
even-
arcana cards
right,
that you
right.
call the trumps.
Right. And when I well, yeah, they're the trumps. And when I was writing the books, I was going to be a little more voluminous,
Mm-hmm.
but I was going to, but then I said, you know what? I'm doing so much work on the cards themselves. I'm going to leave the trump. I'm going to leave the descriptions a little less. So
I like the description.
Trumps are the here and now. They're also the ethereal and the eternal. They have a story to tell and they want to tell it. It wouldn't hurt to listen. Or is this the time and no reply? I need to actually write something about the fools, which I haven't put. My booklet is shipping. We'll be PDFing it to people
who buy the deck.
Who buy the deck.
What was the image on the new fool?
The new fool was this nebulous. Well, this is very political and earthbound.
Yes.
The new ion, the new fool card was really symbolic of the meta ion, spacey a bit, and also working with some Mayan influences to create this kind of infinite possibility, which is the fool. And as we realize, Trump too is also this kind of, there's something going on with Trump that's different, and we can decide what that is. Time will tell.
Yeah.
But in this very interesting period of time where
I'm just writing the link is
coronatarot.com.
Yeah, political.
Yeah,
here
no.
Because
I know. I'll go through the queens. So there's the queens. The queens. I was saying I was trying to mix up the styles too. I didn't want to have the same
the
thing.
queens
of the Queen.
Oh,
because it's water.
Right.
Sorry. It's a Queen of Wands. Yeah, the Queen is the watery aspect, and she's so
and
it's
queens.
I think of them as a strong female energy.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why I had these. I know, of course, the cruise ships came into it. Because
right.
cruise ships.
That's right.
It's
another queen then.
So there's Queen of Wands. There would be Queen of. Let me see if I can find some.
These are really beautifully done, really colorful.
I know they're great. I mean,
really,
people love them, and I think they work.
Really fun, probably.
Anybody who bought one out there, thank you.
And they're really fun, probably, to do.
Princesses. This was interesting. I did princesses. Benjamin, 3 minutes.
Okay. I'll hold that up.
Princesses were the clerks. I mean, you would go to the store. So she's the Princess of Wands. So she's Earth, and she's sort of vaguely wearing her mask, but she's selling lots of toilet paper, which is Earth. Here's the Princess of Swords, the Princess of Ash, selling assorted things that
the media stuff. The air is media.
Well, we'll get into the media, the sword, because the princes are. That's just until you have to get an inhaler.
Oh,
it's kind of sad, but that's what was going on at the time, you know. And I was just
what's this universe card?
But that's card that's not really. It's a little more
It's not
free form.
Yeah, there's
and
no corona.
yeah. So it's like
This is
it's
where
this
we end up.
yeah.
Okay.
We actually ended up, so the princes were the princes of air, princes of air, and I took that to be Wi-Fi and just media broadcast. I took media, getting shelter. We were getting all these weird messages from the media people. That's the Prince of Cups, Prince of
They
Water.
said our sound working well
Oh,
for
that's too
some
bad.
reason. Let me see if I can put the sound back for some reason. For telling me, let me just go to sound. I don't know why the sound
Here's
went
the
down.
Prince of Disc, which is weaponized media.
All right, here. Output. Yeah, let me put the sound up a little bit. Volume up. Volume up here. Okay. And yeah,
this is Prince of
works.
Swords, which is our, which is again the fact that we were so affected by media, and
Definitely.
and this is ignoring an orders to kind of think for yourself, and again the IAO formula, and you know I think
someone says Steve Jens maybe
I don't know,
wrote.
but
I bought one. What an inspiring session.
if you bought one, thank you. I'm not really making money on this. It's not a money making thing. It's really, if I make my money back for the prints, I'm very happy. And if you bought one, thank you very much. And I hope you like them and they work for you. I think they are functional deck.
I do think they're functional. I think in a way this is a collector's item, even because it marks a period of time. And as we go beyond that, hopefully as we go beyond, we'll look back and like these things will remind us of our transformation that we've been through, which is what tarot is about. It's a journey through transformation. So,
and this has been, a cathartic experience for us all. We don't know where it hasn't ended yet. We don't know what's going on.
So keep buying those tarot.
I do.
Find your way through the meta. But is a meta eon we're in.
A guide for the meta eon. I mean, like if you look Oshalon, Oshalon Speer, you'll see some stuff that actually might have OSHOLON on Psychic Labs. There was some channeling I did.
This part I like, the pandemic in a box. That's funny.
Yeah. No, I mean I was a illustrator animator, and I did a lot of things, and I quit to kind of start studying more esoteric subjects, and now So I'm done, Alan, for now. But
Steve, thanks so much. That is
I'm really happy, and
I like to stay current on this channel. I think there's nothing more current than tools for working through the time that we're. Well, this is what you've done. You've given us a tool to kind of work through this time. And
I would like to think so.
You are, and they're self-reflective too, like all tarot readings. It's like
it's a narrative, but it's also an encoded, nested narrative to be worked.
But it also is a reflection. When you do a tarot reading for you, or someone does it for you, you're seeing the parts of yourself that maybe you're not seeing.
And that's important. Know thyself.
Yeah, and that's what these kind of divinity type
oracular devices, divination devices,
and it's for seeing the bigger picture, because we get
of
caught
ourselves.
Up. Yeah, we get caught up.
It's holographic in a way. We're pulling out little facets of the hologram or the gem.
And you're giving us a reflection of the times we're in. So yes, it's a Mediterranean.
People had said in the past, they said, "Oh, why don't you make a tarot? Why don't you make a tarot?"
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have nothing to say.
Yeah, now you have a lot to say.
And then I said, well, no. Then in the Corona time, and then I said, you know what? I was on the plane, and I had my experience where it said to me, you need to make a tarot.
Right.
And I said, you know what? This is actually valid and possibly valuable for people. Not saying that it is, but it's possible for some people. It's valid, it's valuable. And if we had a guy from Llewellyn, some tarot company. Right. He said he has 2,300 decks. He said this was one of his favorite new ones.
Really?
I was very happy about that.
Well,
because I hate to do things. I would hate to take anybody's money.
No, we're going to do more shows together because you have incredible information about secret societies.
We've been talking about for years about doing an interview,
and I'm glad we finally
did it at the art farm, which is so beautiful. Hopefully, everybody's having a nice Labor Day.
It's a so great nice Labor Day here at the art farm, upstate New York. So come down. What's the art farm's website?
Artfarmrecording.com.
Yeah, there's also
it's an Accord.
Beautiful place, which is not far, should we say, from where Whitley Strieber.
It's actually in the same town that Whitley Strieber has experience. He brought up Whitley. I'll get in trouble.
No. Whitley's out. He didn't tell you where the house is, but it's somewhere.
It's also in the Hudson Valley, which is just the most beautiful place on the planet.
Also known for its UFO sightings. Hudson Valley, pine bushes around here, so
nearby.
It's a magical place all around. It's kind of interdimensional, and this is what these tarot cards are, sort of a doorway through from one time to the next.
Right. And as we're in this weird meta eon, and everybody agrees that we are in a really weird
It's
space
obviously
and time now.
it is a meta eon. Hopefully we'll go through it.
And, you know,
So,
in the thelemic tradition of changing of eons,
Okay.
this is to do with it. But hey, I'm good. I'm
okay,
done.
Steve,
talked
thanks
out.
again.
Thank you, Alan.
Steinfeld for
So
New
good.
Realities. I'm going to just show some of those cards as we sign
Appreciate
off
it.
here. And
I'll sing us out.
Sing us out with a little deck display.
Oh, let me sing a song.
All right, go ahead. Sing a song.
This is a strange affair. The time has come to travel, but the road is filled with fear. And this is a strange affair. My youth has all been wasted, and I'm bent and gray with years. And all my companions are taken away. And who will provide for me against my dying day? I took my own provisions, and they wounded and wasted away. Oh, where are my companions? My mother, father, lover, friend, and enemy. Oh, where are my companions? They're prisoners of death now and taken far from me. And where are the dreams I dreamed in the days of my youth? And they took me to illusion when they promised me the truth. And what do sleepers need to make them listen? Why do they need more proof? Oh, give me an answer. Why do you turn your back on the one who loves you best? When the man with the answer has called to you and shout to you and put you to the test. Oh, wake up from the dream that lies like clouds upon your eyes and win back the life you had before this dream of lies. And if you turn your back on yourself and you follow, you'll win the lover's prize. And this is a strange affair. Thanks, everybody. It's fun.
Thank you, Alan Steinfeld for New Realities. That was Steve Speer and his Corona Tarot deck. Stay tuned for more upcoming New Realities shows. I have something coming up with Divine Feminine on Wednesday. Let's see. Just go to newrealities.com or youtube.com/newrealities for new upcoming shows. Niles, Gerard doing his healing salons on Friday. And email me if you like what you've seen here at newrealities@earthlink.net. Thanks for tuning in. Have a good day. Have a great Labor Day. See you later.